people have been. I mean, I think that he is an example of his prosecution. The charges against him are one of the biggest attacks on freedom of the press that we've seen and freedom of speech. So.
And yeah, I think sometimes you need somebody to put the hammer down. I think Obama said this, and just say, I'm sorry, you can't expose our secret agents. And we have to think of our security first. Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm sure the government does some gnarly things, but I don't like this. I don't like a guy who pretends that he's the patriot when it's the spies out there who are protecting this country, not Julian Assange.
Bill Maher seems to be back to his old ways, where he's bringing on guests like Tulsi Gabbard and Chris Matthews, as you can see on the screen right here, onto his very own show, Real Time with Bill Maher, that know a whole lot more about the topics that Bill Maher likes to discuss than he does. And it's not a shortage of him getting destroyed, as we know, on his own show. Just like I said, the good old days, where Bill Maher would just bring on guests repeatedly and on Real Time with Bill Maher and just get absolutely destroyed because he doesn't understand these situations as well as people who are actually well-researched, well-learned, and have a brain that uses logic as reason, such as Tulsi Gabbard and such as Chris Matthews. And this episode is the same thing here, of Bill Maher once again getting absolutely demolished. And it's so bad that Tulsi Gabbard just looks, you know, a little squirmy, like she starts squirming in her chair because this destruction is so bad. Let's check this out here, Real Time with Bill Maher.
We're at right now, in fact.
Okay, now that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, oh, good, let's get to this. What?
It's good.
Me too. Has pled guilty to espionage and secured his freedom. I didn't see this coming, by the way. I didn't think he'd ever get out. What will his legacy be? Yes.
Time served. Time served. He served 6 years, and that's what he's getting.
No, but they're talking about his legacy, and that's what I want to know. Is he a heroic crusader exposing government lies, or he is a reckless traitor who was endangering our freedom?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you ask. I think that the more people have been, I mean, I think that he is an example of his prosecution. The charges against him are one of the biggest attacks on freedom of the press that we've seen and freedom of speech. So
that's based, and I agree. And I also, I think a lot more people are saying, oh my God, democracy is under attack and stuff. And you know, people have been saying that about Trump, and that's the tactic they're using to, you know, try and they get their best to get, you know, Kamala to be relevant again, or whoever the Democratic Party is going to put forward. But I think it's been happening for a long time. And I think these people are just starting to come to light now. Now that the mainstream media don't have a monopoly on the truth anymore with this administration and what people think, more people are just discarding everything that mainstream media is going to say, whether it's right-leaning Fox News or CNN, MSNBC, left side. They're just discarding what they're saying. And they're going to independent journalists and YouTubers. They're going to people like Russell Brand and Joe Rogan in order to get their news now. And they don't get their news from mainstream media. So now not only are things in real time starting to look scary for democracy as a whole, or people weaponizing the DOJ against their political opponents, stuff like that, but also retroactively, we're looking at these cases and we're saying, hold on, what happened with Julian Assange? What happened with Edward Snowden? Let's look at these cases and starting to realize, is this stuff has been going on for a while. And this weaponization of the DOJ, this, like Tulsi Gabbard said, the fact that there is no freedom of the press, this stuff's been going on for a long time. And thankfully, we're able to realize that now that we have independent journalists that are brave enough to actually speak their minds and try and find the truth rather than just collect a paycheck from the higher ups and say, here's the truth. You know, even though they know it's a lie, there's definitely still people out there doing that. Now, Bill Maher might even be doing it for all we know, but at least there's people out there who are actually willing to forego that paycheck in order to get to the bottom of the truth, like Candace Owens.
Wow, I thought you would go the other way.
no, not at all.
I think Ellsberg looks good right now.
What?
Daniel Ellsberg looks very good right now, and what he did. And the Pentagon Papers was about how the Kennedy administration and Johnson administration, not Nixon, what they did to lie about the war.
Well, I don't know all the particulars. I mean, you'd have to really spend months and months going through the amount of stuff he put out. But in general, I think the world's full of bad people. Like I was saying to Ray, the world's full of bad people. And yeah, I think sometimes you need somebody to put the hammer down. I think Obama said this, and just say, I'm sorry, you can't expose our secret agents. And we have to think of our security first. Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm sure the government does some gnarly things, but I don't like this. I don't like a guy who pretends that he's the patriot when it's the spies out there who are protecting this country, not Julian Assange. Because there are people who want to destroy this country. And there are people who are plotting to get nuclear weapons and all the rest of it.
Well, Bill, I know this is your big moment and everything, but you're completely wrong. A lot more people would have this opinion that Bill Maher's holding right now if the U.S. government didn't turn its own country against them. I mean, the decisions and the statements and everything that had happened during the Biden administration was happening for a while, but especially since 2020, has turned a lot of the population just completely against the government and changed our perspective on different things. Growing up, you're taught that America is the good guys. Every other country, when they win something, they write it in their favor. But America is unbiased in their history writing, and we just have always been the good guys. That's why we should be able to go to any country we want and replace their government with a democracy. We're going in and we're saving them, and we're taking out whatever government they currently have. It's run by terrorists or whatever, and we're just going to insert a democracy and plant an American flag there, and it's all good. And we were always taught that's a great thing. That's the right way. Now everyone's just been waking up, because of independent journalists, the new administration, decisions that, this administration's making, and the previous administration, what they were doing, I really just disrespected. And, we didn't care if we see it or not. And Bill Maher is saying, despite, that the spies are there, are the real patriots. I just can't agree with that. They probably are patriots. These spies probably are really good people who work for the government, do great things for the country, of course. But, I mean, the government has done heinous things, not very good things during the last administration and going into this new administration. Everything is just weaponized nowadays, and nothing is actually done for the betterment of the country. And I think that's where Trump's trying to take this. Everything should be exposed, in my opinion. Everything should just constantly be exposed outside of like military agendas or trying to create a new aircraft that the new stealth bomber edition. It shouldn't be exposed by journalists. Of course not. That should be kept under bay for sure, discreet and hidden away. But in terms of like what Julian Assange did, I just have to disagree with Bill Maher. And let me know in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you think I'm completely wrong, but let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
And this guy is not the one who made sure that we have not really been attacked since 9/11.
I go to Vietnam every year to teach for a couple weeks, and I got to tell you, the 5 o'clock Follies Hotel, the Rex Hotel, where they used to do the 5 o'clock briefing every afternoon about how many body count, how many we killed. It's all BS. That stuff was never true.
What stuff was never true?
The Vietnam War and the numbers of people we were killing and the way we were winning the war. No, we're going to get there sooner or later because we're killing them all. No.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
It wasn't true.
Yeah.
But that's different. We attack them. This guy, he is exposing people who are protecting us. We are the ones who have been attacked.
Okay, I agree.
But what he exposed really is how our own government was violating our own civil liberties and trying to cover up things that were very embarrassing to our government. And I think that's the essence of the responsibility of a free press and why it's so important for our democracy.
Okay. One more.
I gotta agree with Tulsi here. 100% I gotta agree with Tulsi. Let me know in the comments if you agree or not. But they consistently, like I was saying, I understand where Bill Maher's coming from, but if you just look objectively, zoom out, and look at what the previous administration had done, a lot of bad stuff. And if they're going to foreign countries or spying on foreign people, that's fine. Let them spy. Maybe don't expose them. If they're doing things within the U.S. they shouldn't be doing, and journalists have that information, I think that the journalists have a duty to expose that information. And I think the U.S. government and the DOJ has a duty to not punish that person, that journalist, that news outlet that exposed that information. But anyway, this wasn't the only time that Tulsi Gabbard destroyed Bill Maher, and Chris Matthews also schooled Bill Maher. It was also another moment that I played yesterday that I want to revisit because it was just so glorious of Bill Maher getting destroyed once again on his own show, Real Time with Bill Maher.
But we're here with Chris Matthews and Tulsi Gabbard, and the first question is to you. Tulsi, should women be required to register for the military draft? I saw this. This is so interesting. The Democrats, so great at politics. I don't know why they brought it up now. I mean, men, I almost forgot this. Men do still have to register for the draft. Nobody gets...
Well, this is actually something that they also just changed in the legislation through the National Defense Authorization Act. Just a few weeks ago, is now men don't have to register because they're automatically registering them as soon as they turn 18.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually, you don't get to fill out a card or anything anymore.
But I remember I was about to be registered I just turned 17 in 1973 when they were still drafting for Vietnam, and it was like that was the year. It was like, oh, we're not. Oh, it's like, oh boy, did I luck out on that one. But they still registered you. Now the Democrats in an election year have brought this up for I don't know what reason, saying now we want women to register because there's 250,000 women in the military right now, and if something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year are my two questions.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support.
And that ties back into what I was saying earlier. And of course, Bill Maher disagrees with that because Bill Maher still trusts the government. But most of us are the majority of people who are able to analyze situations and use bias. Ever since 2020, especially, or before that, they've been doing a lot of bad things to the point where our own citizens have turned against the government. So, of course, that's why they would use a draft. They'd be weaponized. It wouldn't be because we absolutely need it for good reasons, because our nation's under attack or something. Because America inserted itself in another war, and now we need more people because, you know, our own military isn't willing to fight the war on behalf of the previous administration. So we're going to force people in sheer numbers. Like, you know, Russia and Ukraine have been having a lot of hell going on there, and then they can't find people that want to fight in that war, so they're just forcing people. They're forcing men to go fight wars. Same thing that's going to happen if they do a draft. It's not going to be like nobody's going to feel patriotic duty to go into the war. They're going to be forcing people, or you're going to go to jail. Maybe worse, but who knows? Let me know in the comments what you think about Bill Maher getting destroyed on his own show. Once again, Real Time with Bill Maher.